Really? Welcome everyone to Ask the Experts. My name is Hassani.
And I'm Lakeisha.
We are here for the next 30 minutes to give you exactly what you need. As you are coming in, we want to welcome you from wherever you may be dialing in from around the world. Remember, this is all about you. So if you're single, dating, in a committed courtship, engaged, married, separated, on the verge of divorce, you're in the right place at the right time. So do me a favor, post your question. Let's get it in so we can spend as much time in this 30 minutes to answering your question and addressing your situation really quickly before we get started. Foundry. Yes, we are in the first week, which means it is not too late. As you can see, we started on the 23rd, which means we have room for more. We have already gotten underway, and man, oh man, oh man, are we off to a great start. Also, if you are a woman, you should join or consider joining Unearthed, which is a 12-week program of self-discovery. Danielle begins to walk you through how to unearth a lot of the issues and the pain and the struggles that you're experiencing within you as you are in a relationship that's not quite where it needs to be because of betrayal or some type of crisis in your life. So consider that. And last but not least, we're excited because just today we be getting so many calls about the Last Chance Weekend, March 11th through the 13th. That is the one you want to do. Now, what's powerful about it, people ask this question, and I guess we need to clarify. Foundry is virtual. Unearthed is virtual. The Last Chance Weekend is live in person. And that is the time where every one of the team members, Danielle, myself, Jeff Witt, Lakeisha Hines, Walter, and Charmaine Jennings, we are all in the building. We're coming together to work as a team to really make an impartation in the lives of all the couples who are there. And so we have a nice group, but we have room for more. So if you want to consider that, please reach out to us, set up a discovery call, and we will dive right into that conversation. All right. It seems as though nobody's here. And you know the routine, guys. I'm gonna play one commercial. And if I don't have a question by the end of this commercial, trust and believe this will be an early evening. All right. So here we go. I hope you're finding out more information about the programs and get exactly what you've come for. Check this out. That's the Last Chance Weekend, guys. You know, Lakeisha, I didn't tell you this, so I'm telling you, we're having a conversation over the air for the first time in regards to this. But one of the couples who attended, I'll tell you who they are when we're done, then moved into the Moving Forward program. They had been in a relationship for 15 plus years,
Right.
and they just decided to get married. And
I know
so,
who it is.
you know who it is. And so,
Oh,
the
yay!
is that people come, you see, people think that this is just for married couples. We're couples academy, not marriage academy. And so people who are trying to figure out what direction they're going to go in, they come here and they get the clarity
Right.
they need, and boom, it's soon, like not even a month or two after the Last Chance Weekend, they are now going to confess or profess their love in front of witnesses, and they're going to get married, and we're excited for them. You know who you are, you're watching. We thank you for your commitment to yourself and we're going to be
Aw,
here to celebrate with you. So we got some questions.
congratulations. That's
Yes,
awesome.
it is awesome. We're going to dive right into these questions. Callie Power Couple says, "What are some PowerPoints you can give about affair proofing our marriage?" I'm going to give a quick answer, and then you can go into the depths of it. What I would say is everything we teach to couples of how to recover from an affair is what you should do to prevent an affair.
Mm,
We talk about the importance of transparency, of emotional connection. We talk about the importance of effective communication. We talk about the importance of spending quality time, having work day, having play day, being consistent in those things. Of course, we talk about trust building and how to establish a foundation of trust and honesty and openness. Like those are so listen, if you haven't experienced an affair yet and you're like, man, it seems like all they talk about is infidelity, I can't get anything out of this. No, that's not true. Because if you listen to the principles and the techniques that we're giving you, it can work if it hasn't happened. It will prevent it from happening. And of course, you're dealing with triggers after an affair. You're dealing with healing hurting hearts. There's a lot of that. But if you're looking at the fundamental basics of what it takes to build a healthy foundation, it's the same stuff. Now, there's a phenomenal book that I would encourage everyone to get. That's called His Needs, Her Needs,
her needs. Hmm.
Affair Proof Your Marriage. So that's giving you what you need to do to prevent an affair from happening. Lakeisha?
Yeah, one of the things I think we talk about often is like who you're listening to. And I think that's critically important because if you are on the verge of potentially stepping out on your partner and then you go to someone who you trust and share that information with them and they push you to cheat, like that's really not, you know what I mean? Like not push you, but like encourage it or don't discourage you from doing it. I think that that's really powerful. And we need to have people that are around us who are going to give us wise counsel. Everybody who's smart and wise, man. And sometimes people give you advice about your relationship and they have no clue what they're talking about. So I think that's a really good thing to keep in mind is that you have to be mindful of who you're listening to and what you're being fed. I don't listen to the radio often, but I listen to it because I have kids. And I want to know if they're listening to the radio, like I want to know what they're listening to because I'm trying to guard them against certain things. And like every other song on the radio is talking about cheating. Like it literally is talking about like and this was a couple years ago, but like the dude is mine on the weekend. Like I know you got a chick, but let me see what's going on with you. I heard some things. Let me see if what I heard is true. Like it, that's what is being fed into us when you're listening to the wrong thing. And eventually you keep pouring that into your spirit, into your mind. What's gonna happen? You're going to respond, you're going to react to that. And I always say anything you feed will grow. So I think it's important what you're listening to and who you're around and who's giving you advice. One of the areas that we don't want to really talk about often is sex. And couples are not being honest with each other. And I think that was one of the first points you were making, Hassani, about having open and honest communication. But I think a lot of times couples aren't being real with each other. They're faking it. They're not enjoying it. It's not fun for them. It's duty sex, or is I'm just doing it out of fear that if I don't do it, that you're gonna step out and sleep with somebody else. But it's not fun. And you're not enjoying it, and you are not sharing that with your partner. And you keep going through pretending like it's all good, and it's not. So being open and honest, having real conversations about what it is that you want and need and desire in your relationship. Sex, yes, but also emotional and mental. And we got to communicate. We got to spend time together. And I just think couples need to stop lying to each other. So that's my advice.
That's that's important. I like everything you said. The last thing you said, couples need to stop lying to each other. And there's a difference between telling the truth and no
Mm-hmm.
longer lying. Because
Mm-hmm.
every now and then you could tell the truth about something, but that doesn't mean that you're no longer lying. Do you see the difference? You
Yep.
can do both. And so to your point, sometimes the truth is a very difficult pill to swallow.
Yep.
and I've tried it before, it didn't work out. So I don't bring anything up because of your reaction. So I have internal conversations with myself. And then at some point, I'm lonely, even though I'm sleeping in the bed with you. And I need to connect with somebody else who understands me and who's not going to judge me and who's going to have a listening.
Right.
You see, all of these, there's a book I have over there. It's called The Slippery Slope. And it talks about the moral decline that we go through and how 95% of sin that takes place happens right here
Yep.
because of justifications, rationalizations, compartmentalization,
Yep.
faulty beliefs in thinking.
Mhm.
This right here, I tell you, this will get you in
Powerful.
trouble. It will get
Powerful.
you in trouble if you listen. If you're not embedded with a value system in the right beliefs, it will jack your life and your marriage up. So
Yep.
I co-sign everything you said. Let's go to the next question. Another one. Hey, sir. I know this may be a difficult question to answer, but how long should the faithful partner have firewalls up? Can they become crutches? This is a good question, and I forgot to answer it the other day. I saw you ask that question. You know, I, it's one of those things where for some couples, after an affair has happened and they're rebuilding their relationship, they have new norms and new rules, right? There's a show on HBO. I forget the guy's name. He's a comedian. He's a political commentator, but he's a comedian. And at the end of the show, he has something called New Rules. Bill Maher, that's what it is, New Rules. And in relationships, oftentimes you have to establish new rules. And I guess it depends upon what's being done in that relationship to determine how long those crutches, if you will, have to be established.
Mhm.
If an individual is doing all the right things and proving himself to be worthy of trust again, and the betrayed spouse also is going through a growth process, then at some point it can come off, because the reality is having firewalls up, having a GPS. Hear the context now. That won't help you trust your spouse. Hear
Mhm.
me. Hear me. What it is, it confirms or corrects your suspicion, right? So if I'm looking at the GPS, and I'm just like, he should be home by now. Where is he? Is he somewhere where he shouldn't be? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He is on his way home. That just corrected my suspicion.
Mhm.
Or you see what I'm saying? So
Yep.
it doesn't build trust. Trust is only built when you no longer have the tool, you no longer have the device, you no longer have the evidence, and now you're forced to trust, because trust isn't based upon facts and information. It's not.
Right.
Belief is not based upon something you can prove. It is
Nope.
not. So I think as a first step, yes, the crutch is necessary, because I want to see, we're going to create a system of accountability, place you in the system, see how consistent you are in doing the right thing. And once you've built up enough credibility, fine, then we can peel away the device.
Mhm.
Then let's just see how it goes without the GPS. Are you still consistent? Do I have a need
Mhm.
to worry? If you slip up, guess what? GPS comes back on, firewalls go back up. So I understand it, because there's the fear that it's going to happen again. But
Right.
once you begin to work on your own life and you demonstrate yourself to be a different version of you, I think, on par with your spouse doing the appropriate healing work, they can go away. What do you say to that, Lakeisha?
I mean, I don't have anything else to add. I think that's it. I agree
So let's go
100%.
to the next question. All right, Devlin. So if my husband was living with a woman on two different occasions due to work out of town and tells me that there was nothing sexual, is that still a form of cheating? And how do I deal with that?
So, living with a woman on two different occasions due to work out of town tells me. Okay. Did you know that he was living with a woman? Like, did he keep that a secret? Like, that's the only thing that would make me feel like, okay, maybe there was some type of betrayal there if you were unaware. But if he communicated and told you that that's what he was doing and you were aware of it, then that doesn't lead me to think that he was cheating.
And so we need those particulars. And then my question is, well, did he arbitrarily, independently, autonomously, on his own, make a decision to do something that he knew you had a problem with, and it was just like, I'm doing it anyway because it's
Mhm.
convenient. Maybe I work on an oil field or whatever the situation is, and her house is right next to it. I don't have to worry about travel. I'm doing it. I don't want you to do it. Yeah, well, I'm doing it. Like, now we're talking
Yeah.
about a violation of. This is why we say it's important to have a relational code of ethics and
Right.
rules that you both subscribe to, because in this household, oh heck to the no. Okay. Now, the question is, who is that woman? Is that
Mhm.
woman a relative? Is that woman a very dear friend and is married? Like, there's so many details that to me have to be discussed if I'm even cool with such a scenario. Like, there's
Yeah.
certain individuals in your life who you may have great relationship with and it's no big deal, but it seems as though this is not something that you approved of, which then makes it a betrayal, not necessarily infidelity, because there's different types
Right.
of infidelity. Now, if he had sex with her, then absolutely. But it's a major betrayal. And I don't want you guys to think that infidelity is the worst betrayal and every other type of betrayal
Right.
is lesser than. That's not the case at all. You understand? So that's why I need more information, but it's certainly a violation and something that needs to be dealt with. All right, let's go to
Yeah.
another question. What are ways to get over the fear of having a tense conversation with my spouse? I like keeping the peace, but I know that's damaging to my marriage. So I'm going to give a short thing. You like keeping the peace. And so what that means is
He's a 9. Vashawn is
yeah,
a 9.
you probably avoid not just conversations, but issues.
Mm.
And things can get worse over time because you don't want anything to interrupt your peace. And you know what? You got to go all in on that. Like, at the end of the day, if you don't address it now, it's only going to get worse and you're going to have more of an issue later on. So how do you overcome the fear? Well, there's a phenomenal book entitled Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Fear is nothing more an anticipation or a belief that something negative will happen in the future. And so you're going in with a mindset that's already anticipating the worst. And so maybe what you need to do is change your thinking, because the root of every emotion, whether positive or negative, is a thought. The thought is the root. If you change the way you look at something, the thing you look at changes. So if you change the way you think and look at having a conversation with your spouse, it'll change the feeling or the emotion, and you're able to remove the fear and engage in something. And last but not least, and then you can weigh in, tell your spouse about your fear, why you fear engaging in a conversation, and establish ground rules, rules of engagement, ground rules of healthy communication, so that if you feel like she's going to ball up her fist, or not physically but metaphorically so, ready for a fight, and that is what you fear, the ground rules protect you both from yourself and from each other to make sure that the conversation goes well. So therefore, there's nothing any longer to fear.
Yeah, most women wanna see your heart and they wanna feel your heart. So the more you're able to communicate your thoughts, feelings, and emotions with her, most likely the more likely she is be to listen and be open and receptive to what it is that you have to say. But you have to let her know that you have fear of having a conversation. And I'm curious to know what got you there. How did you get there? Have conversations in the past gone left? Like, has she, does she have that pop off spirit that I've been delivered from? What is it, that has caused you to have this fear with communicating with her? But you definitely have to be open and honest and share with her, and not having the conversation. You are absolutely right. It is damaging to the marriage, and all it's
Mm.
going to do is cause division between the two of you. And if you're not talking to her, you're going to start talking to somebody else. And we're talking about a fair proofing. Somebody else asked about a fair proof. And that's another thing, that you have to turn to your spouse instead of turning away from them. So please have the conversation. Let her know that you are afraid to have the conversation, and tell her why.
Let me ask you a question. When you talk about the pop pulse spirit and how you got delivered from it, what was the motivation? Like, what was it that happened within you that made you say, you know what, I need to be delivered. I need to get all these demons about of me. Like, what was it that caused you to say, this is just not working, and I want to change?
Yeah. So the reaction that I was getting. Like, my husband was shut down. Like, I'm not okay with that. I want you to talk to me, but I'm responding in a way that is shutting you down and making you not want to communicate. So it's self-sabotage. Like, I'm jacking up my own situation. That's not smart. So control what you can control, and the things that you can't, you got to release and give it to God. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
this is something that I could control. Like, I can be better.
Mhm.
I can do better. And I can't expect him to continue to show up and be his best self if I'm not doing the same.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. All right, we got a lot of questions. Let's go to the next.
You
Oh,
threaten
this
the
is good.
people, Hassani. They're like, he's gonna log off if we don't put these questions in here.
We will be starting couples counseling to talk about the affair next week. How do we get him to tell the whole truth? A whole disclosure. Number one, congratulations, Ruthie, for getting him to be willing to go to counseling. First of all, you want to make sure is your whoever you're working with, is your counselor familiar with the full disclosure process and what that looks like? I would
Mhm.
imagine that he or she is, whoever you're working with. Well, the first thing, what I would do is I would, number one, create a safe environment. Like at the end of the day, I would ask, if you were in a session with me, I would say, listen, do you have any hesitation, any fears, any reservations about being honest and telling the truth? Be honest, because if you don't, it means you're an android, you're a robot, and you don't have a heart. Everybody's got some anxiety. For you, what is it? What are the root issues that's keeping you from wanting to be completely honest? And he may be transparent in that. Then I would ask you. I would say, listen, is there anything that you could hear your husband say that would be too much for you, that would cause you to say, you know what, I can't do this anymore? Like, I need to get that out. Like, having those things addressed initially is important because trust and believe, it's tense, there's anxiety, and we need to create a safe environment. So there are particular ground rules that I will walk the both of you through. Once you understood that, then we would dive into the conversation. And then the other thing is, your practitioner, are they a part of the conversation? Are they engaging in the conversation? Or are they just allowing you two to go at it? And it's more of the same of what you do when you're home without that practitioner. Those are the type of questions that I would ask. And that's the type of environment that I would set up to help him understand. Then, last but not least, I would probably spend some time with him prior to that full disclosure, probably the session prior to, really helping him to feel comfortable and safe, and explain to him the importance of telling the truth. And yes, there are consequences that go along with it, but we would deal with that. And literally, this is why a last chance weekend or a private marriage intensive is important, because what people have found out, that after being with the person for hours, hours, see, you can escape, you can hide, you can duck and dodge in a 1 hour session. But when you're in that intensive and you're trapped, you can't go anywhere. Things will come out that you never anticipated. Lakeisha, you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, 100%. And Ruthie, I would say to you, I'm happy that you guys have had individual counseling. That's good. And I think that'll help you through this process. But please, 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 I beg you, I urge you to exercise the best self control you have ever had in your whole life. Because if you do not respond in a way that makes your husband feel safe, he might shut down, he might close off, and he might start trickling the truth. And that's what you don't want. You emphasize, you want the whole truth. So you really are going to have to exercise some self control while he is communicating everything that he needs to say to you. And I agree, creating that safe space is critically important.
All right. So good luck. We wish you well, and let us know how your progress goes in that effort. This is a huge piece, and because it's the foundation of
Yeah.
rebuilding trust in the entire relationship. All right. We got more questions. Here we go. How do work days work? We have been taking turns, but is that right? I know what I need as the betrayed, but what should the betrayer have a day to lead, and what does that look like? First of all, I think it's a great idea that you take turns, because the reality is you both have issues and you both have concerns, and
Hmm.
they should be dealt with in its own individual session. So taking turns is a very good thing. We're actually putting together a document, a very comprehensive document that walks you through all of the steps of what a workday looks like. And as soon as we have that available, we will be able to provide it for you. But I mean, the format is so tight that it will
Hmm.
really help to produce a lot of change. And the reality is, there are tools that we give our clients that they use in that workday to make it successful. So
Right.
Imagine building a house and you have no tools. You have all the materials, but you don't have any tools. Like the
Mhm.
tools allow you to be successful in the workday that you're having. So that is coming. There's been a big request for that. And so don't worry, we'll have it shortly for you. All right, here's another question. Hi, Hassani. I've been married for 11 years. My husband admitted to having a 8-year affair off and on. I never suspected it, and he never mistreated me during this time. How do you start to rebuild again? Counseling. You got to you got to work with somebody who's going to help you restore, because you need to know how to deal with your emotions and your thoughts and your skepticism now, or your, your fear. Are you struggling with unforgiveness? Are you struggling with, triggers? Is there anyone holding him accountable? Is he going through a process of healing because there was brokenness and hurt within him that caused him to do it in the first place? So what process is he going through? And so this is why we often encourage that the two of you should go to couples counseling, but each of you should have your own individual counseling as well to get you to a better place. That's what I would say, to get you to a place of recovery. Okay. Let's go to the next question. We haven't done couples counseling, only our own personal counseling. Ah, got you. Okay,
Yeah.
Ruthie. So that's a start. Now, there's different schools of thought, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Some would say go to individual counseling first, and then when you get yourself together, go to couples counseling. Now, oftentimes in individual counseling, you're pouring out, you're sharing your perspective, you're talking about what happened, and your counselor is going to give you advice based upon what you give that therapist or practitioner. Sometimes it's not comprehensive, it's not complete, it's not the full story, it's your version. And so think about it. He has his counselor, you have your counselor. Maybe the advice is competing or causing issues in the household. He has you going one way, he has your partner going another way. So that's
Mhm.
the challenge. I will say anything is better than nothing, but I think couples counseling is always what you want to start with first, and then, you know, add on to it individual counseling. And so that's why, kind of like with Couples Academy, we have a team of people. So you may go to one person for your couples counseling, someone else for individual counseling, and then we work together collaboratively to help make sure that you as a couple are in the right place. And so, if you're finding a couples counselor, make sure that they specialize in affair recovery. That's very, very,
Mhm.
very important, because a lot of people wind up going to whoever their insurance provider gives them, and they're not adequate. So, make sure you ask the right questions and you have the right fit, and you'll be in a much better place. You're going to take these questions over. We got one. I think I just asked. I just went through that. Let's go to another one. He disclosed that information after we decided to get back together. In her family, had cheated with his ex and her family. Okay, so you found out after
Mhm.
you got back together. So you were separated during this time. Is the impression that I'm getting? Is that what you're getting?
I'm
And
not
it sounds
sure.
okay. Anyway, reach out to us, sis.
That's what
Let's
they
see how
did.
we can help you. Okay.
I'm not
Here's another
sure what that.
question. Good evening. God bless you both. My husband and I have been married for almost 10 years. He had an affair last year, and out of this affair, the other woman got pregnant with his baby. It continues. He wants to reconcile, but I'm not sure what I want to do because it's not his first time cheating on me. We're
Mhm.
both currently separated. Lakeisha.
So I don't really see a question that you're asking. I mean, this is a difficult situation. It's not the first time, unfortunately, that we have heard about a baby coming out of an affair. Unfortunately, I would like to say that I haven't heard it before, but I have. You're saying that you both are currently separated. He wants to reconcile. You're not sure what you want to do. Of course, you don't know what you want to do because he's cheated before. So, I mean, I don't know if your question is what should you do, or I'm not sure what you're asking, but you really have to take time and assess what it is that you want. Are you willing to do the work that is going to take to get this back on track? And is he willing to do the work that is going to take to get this back on track? And thinking also that there may be a baby that is his, which means that the affair partner will continue to be a part of you guys' relationship if the baby is his. So you really have to kind of take a step back and look at all of this and decide again what it is that you want to do, because it's going to be difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. It is going to be one of the most difficult things you're ever going to have to deal with, but nothing is impossible once you make up your mind what it is that you want to do. It's really about showing up, being willing to do the work, and staying committed to what it is that you decided to do long after the feeling has left that you made that decision in.
Yeah, that's a great statement. All right, here's another one. Thanks, Doc. I get that. This is in regards to the firewalls. Let me add, I'm good with the firewalls. I'm more wanting my queen to heal with me. At times, I feel like she's still at D Day. Yeah, there's no question in that, but there is a premise in that. In essence, he's a lot further along in the recovery
Hmm.
process. She's still at the day of discovery. What do you say to somebody who,
But
has done counseling? They've done a lot of work, and months or years have gone by, and they're still at that place.
my question is why? Why is she still at D Day? And this isn't about for me pointing fingers or whatever, but have you shown up the way that she needs you to? Because why is she still at D Day? That's my first question. Have you shown up the way she needs you to? And secondly, is she doing her individual work? It's we find this all the time where couples are looking outward. They're looking at their spouse and pointing the finger and blaming them and focused on what they're doing and using it as an excuse not to do their own individual work. So I'm saying you individually have to do work and then collectively, right? So I don't know if she's still stuck because you're not showing up the way she needs you to, or if it's because she's not doing her own individual work, or a combination of the two. So you've been on here a while. I don't know who you are, but I know that you have been here for a long time, and you ask questions like every week. I know you guys have been doing work. And so is what you're doing, is it working? Because why are you still in this place? Why is she still in this place? It seems like you want to do the work, you're showing up, but is she doing her work? Is she working on herself, or is she still waiting on you to try to fix her or make her better? And we can't depend on other people to make us feel better or to heal us, right? It's an individual thing that we have to do, but you definitely have to show up the right way. But there's still individual stuff that she has to do too. So I'm curious to know, why is she still stuck at D Day, if that's the case.
Yeah, great question. Couple more. I can't believe it's 32 minutes after. Listen, we're going to go through this. Listen, one of our ambassadors, the ambassador couple, this is from Gonzalez Smith. He says, you have to be intentional to talk to your spouse. It's all about your approach when
Mhm.
trying to keep the peace. Oh, that's responding to the other gentleman. And I literally had to face my fear in communication. I would shut down too. Not anymore. My jewel is learning how to understand me much better. See, they represent a couple who has done and continues to do the work, and that's an awesome thing. I think we got one more, guys. What video can we watch to understand these personality types that are associated with a number that you and others are referring to? Great question, Lisa. I'm not sure if you're new to the show, but every single morning, my wife and I, and then Lakeisha comes on occasionally. We have something called the Couples Academy Show, and it's really, this is more of a question answer type of format where there's a teaching format in the morning. And so if you go to the Couples Academy YouTube page, there is a playlist called the Couples Academy Show. We have 250 plus videos on there. And if you scroll through the titles, you'll see stuff that uses the term Enneagram, Enneagram personality, Enneagram. So that's where you're going to really hear about the different personality styles that we're referring to. It's matter of fact, I should probably create a separate playlist and add it to the list of this, the links in the description of each video, because it's foundational if you really
Mhm.
want to enhance your relationship. Listen, guys, this is Thursday night. This is the last show for the week. Hope that you have an amazing weekend. In the morning, Friday morning, we're
Mhm.
talking about seasons. We're wrapping up that series as well. So if you haven't tuned into that, you definitely want to do it. the 4 seasons of marriage, how to maximize or change the season that you're in. And we have a whole lot more good stuff coming up. So make sure you stay tuned and share this with someone else who can use this. Listen, guys, we love you, we appreciate you, and we will see you next week.